on, girl, let's scream.
I am a god.
No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel. This is the part where you run.
Come on, scream.
Hello, and welcome to Let's Scream, a podcast where we usually dive into our favorite horror movies, but it's no Scream November. And I'm Stevie.
And I'm Parker.
And today we are looking at 1997's Romy and Michele's High School Reunion, directed by David Merkin.
Join us as we journey to Tucson and learn all about who invented Post-its. Girl, are you ready to not scream?
Come on, girl. Let's not scream.
Yes! Okay, so first of all, happy 1 year anniversary of Let's Scream!
That's crazy.
Can you believe we've been doing this for 1 year, bitch? Isn't that wild?
Yes, because I can't believe I committed.
I know. I would just like to say thank you, Stevie, for being my co-host. I can't imagine doing this with anybody else. You are my best friend.
You're my best friend. Aw, thank you, Parker.
And I think this is a perfect week for this movie.
Yes.
I picked this one because you picked the first 2 weeks. I picked the second 2 weeks of No Scream November.
Yes.
I picked it because it's my favorite movie. Or at least non-horror movie.
Yeah.
And I just like that it presents itself on the surface as this, like, silly, dumb movie about, like, bimbos, right? And it is funny as fuck, and it is silly and stupid. But it honestly has so much heart to it. And it's just about the beauty of being true to yourself, the power of friendship. This movie is literally about the power of friendship.
It is.
And every time I watch this movie, it just feels like a warm hug. Like, I've seen it so many times.
It's
makes me
such
so
a good movie
happy.
if you're in a bad mood, because it's just one-liners after one.
Its script is brilliant.
It's so well done.
And when I'm watching it, even when I'm alone, it feels like I'm hanging out with you, girl.
Yeah.
Like, it literally feels like I'm hanging out with Stevie. I'm with my BFF.
It's just such a chill movie.
It brings me joy. It really does. And this movie also has come up on the schedule at the perfect time because not only is this our 1 year anniversary of Let's Scream, but also you and I were both talking about how our 10-year high school reunions are literally coming up.
Mine's this month.
Yeah. And mine's not till next year.
Mine's literally this
mine's
month.
in 2025. But it's crazy to think about that.
Mine better be exactly like Romy and Michele's high school reunion.
Right? Are you going to go to yours?
I am, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's literally like... Because mine's not like through my actual high school.
Oh, yeah.
Because I went to a private school and there's been a lot of drama since we've left it. So we don't want to like give them money during our reunion.
Gotcha. So that's the whole thing, yeah. But I've just been thinking about this movie a lot. So like, especially like nowadays, so we have social media, right? And it feels like it's so easy to compare yourself to what other people from high school are doing right now. Like, I went to a big school. There's been a lot of successful people from my graduating class. Yeah. And sometimes it gets hard. Like, damn. It's no secret. Like, we've been doing Let's Scream for a year, but, like, no one fucking listens to it. I mean, like, I love doing it with you. But sometimes it's easy to get, like, discouraged. Like, damn, I see, like, people that I went to high school with that are doing really well, and they have all these clicks and views, and, like, people who are, like, thriving in LA and stuff. But the thing is that this movie is a reminder, like, you shouldn't compare yourself to what other people are going through, and we're all on different journeys, we're all on different paths. And
other people's successes aren't your failures.
Exactly. Yeah. And
like, if you're happy about your life, who cares about it? And if people like are judging you, like, here's the thing. Like, I don't think people give a like at our age, I really don't give a shit what most people's jobs are. Like, I'll always ask them. Like, it's like always like, cool, awesome, good for you. Mm-hmm. I prefer when you're unemployed, but when I hear somebody's unemployed, I'm like, jealous.
And it's like, this movie just kind of reminded me this week that we don't do this podcast to be successful or to, like, get exposure or anything like that. Like, that's never why we started this.
We do it for fun.
We did it as a way to stay connected with each other.
Yeah.
I think. And also just to, like, have fun.
Yeah.
And talk about movies, which we love to do anyway.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know. This movie just tugs at my heartstrings, and it's a good reminder of all of those things. And like you said, what matters is just being happy with who you are and surrounding yourself with the people that you love.
Yes.
And I kind of needed to hear that right now. So this was perfect timing, I think. Also, this movie is really well made. Like, the camera work is actually really good. And, like, they have all these really long, like, crane shots and stuff. And it's so creative, like, all the direction involved with it. The writing is brilliant.
The costuming is amazing.
Okay, so Mona May is the costume designer. She also did Clueless.
Makes so much sense.
Right? I think she's my favorite costume designer. Like,
she's amazing.
Clueless is probably the most well-designed costume movie ever, I think.
Yeah, it's such a fashion movie. I can think, like, all of her outfits are so great in that movie.
The soundtrack in this movie is so good too. Oh
so
my
fucking
gosh.
good.
All the 80s. It's very 80s vibes because that's the kind of music that Romy and Michele were.
Yeah. With some 90s.
Yes, no
but
doubt.
Mostly 80s.
No doubt.
I think everything after the intro is 80s.
Is stuff that they would have been listening to in high school. Yeah.
Oh, there's something we have to get to that I noticed that's an inconsistency.
Oh.
That would, like, this wouldn't have made sense.
You always notice continuity stuff. I can never point that out.
I'm surprised you don't know and you've never noticed this, but we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
But yeah, that's all I want to say about Romy and Michele. I just fucking love it. I think if you've never seen it before, like, it does not hurt to go watch this movie. It's a very sweet movie. It'll make you feel joy, I think, when you watch it. And it's such a funny movie.
Yes.
Get a good
I love it.
Anything else you want to say before we dive into the plot? I guess there's some twists and turns in the plot and some fun gags. So, like, if you've never seen Romy and Michele, don't spoil it for yourself.
Because, I will say, okay. So, my old roommate, Ryan, who I love.
Shout out to Ryan.
Good friend of the pod.
I know.
She had never seen this. And so, I showed it to her for the first time ever. So, this is a fun movie to show people for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's one part we get into where she was like, what is going on?
It's a weird movie.
It's so
pretty
weird.
Absurd, but in such a good way.
It's so amazing. Everything about it's amazing.
So yeah, at this point we're gonna get into spoiler talk. Are you ready to scream, girl? I mean, sorry, are you ready to not scream,
I'm
girl?
ready to not scream. I was about to say, girl. No, we're not screaming.
We're not.
I mean, I'm screaming from how excited I am.
Oh, we're only screaming from excitement. Yeah. All right, so first we get our opening credits set to Just a Girl by No Doubt. So you know this movie's going to be iconic.
And it's a bunch of, I love this because it's a bunch of fabric swatches.
It's scarves.
Yeah.
It's like funky patterned scarves, which scarves will come into play later in the movie.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just like different scarves being folded. And it's such a great song. It perfectly sets the vibe. It's also in Clueless. So I just always associate those two movies together. Like just, the late 90s, such a good time period for movies. Movies were just like fun back then.
Yeah.
I don't think they're fun anymore.
They make you want to think. And I'm like, I don't want to think sometimes. I just want to have fun.
But we meet Romy and Michele, two blonde best friends who live together in their cute little apartment in LA.
Sorry.
And they're watching Pretty Woman while making fun of it. And we already get like an intro to the way Romy talks, which is like, ew, poor thing. They won't let her shop. I love the way that Romy talks. Like Mira Sorvino, who just won an Oscar right before she did this movie, like really commits to the character of Romy.
Yes.
I don't know what her accent is. I don't even think she knows where her accent's supposed to be from, but like I live for it. Every line she says is so perfect from this accent. And of course, Michele is played by Lisa Kudrow from Friends, Phoebe.
Yes.
And she's just perfect.
She's so good as Michele.
Apparently, Romy and Michele were characters in this play called The Ladies' Room. And they were just kind of small characters, but some producers or whoever from Hollywood saw the play and was like, yeah, we want to make a spin-off movie of Romy and Michele because they're fucking hilarious. And Lisa Kudrow originated the role of Michele in the play. So she has always been Michele.
Michele, I love
And it makes sense because the writing is so Lisa Kudrow. She's perfect for it. But yeah, they're like watching Pretty Woman, and it's the scene where Julia Roberts gets like turned away by the snobby Beverly Hills saleswoman.
Yeah.
And then she gets to come back later.
I like, Romy has a funny line. She's like, as if those Beverly Hills saleswomen are a bigger whore than she is.
Ew. And
it's
then,
like,
yeah, and then Michelle's like, sorry, I just get really excited when they finally let her shop. It is kind of sad, you know. They go and they get ready for the club. So this is what they do, is they design their own clothes, and they have really funky fashions. And they go to the club together and hang out and
look for boys.
We see them like after they get out of the shower in their little towels. And Michelle goes, oh my God, did you lose weight? And she goes, actually, I have been on a new fat-free diet I invented. All I've been eating is gummy bears, jelly beans, and candy corn.
God, I wish I had your discipline.
So like this movie is all just like lines
so
like that.
Stupid.
They put on their like wild outfits. And Romy's like, I can't believe how cute I look.
I know. This is like the cutest we've like ever looked.
They're always like, oh my God. So they go to the club and they order drinks. And Michelle's like, remember that one time I ate bad Mexican food and then barfed? Oh, I know. I hate throwing up in public.
Me too.
Me too. And they're like, oh, but there are no cute guys here. Like, let's just dance by ourselves. Ugh, I swear to God, sometimes I wish I was a lesbian.
Do you ever want to try to have sex to see if we are?
Ooh, Michelle, just the thought of having sex with another woman creeps me out. But if we aren't married by the time we're 30, ask me again.
Okay.
And then Staying Alive comes on. Staying alive, staying alive. And they start busting out this choreographed dance routine.
It's so good.
And I wish this was a visual podcast because like I just love doing these dance moves. Like they're so funny. It's a lot of like this.
Yeah.
This thing, like weird arm movements going on. And then we cut to Romy at her job as a receptionist at like a Jaguar car repair shop.
Yep.
And she is on the microphone. There's like a big long line of people waiting. And she's like, come on, Ramon, quit jerking off and bring the car around. We meet her coworker, Ramon, who is super cute, but he's such a perv. He's always like
flirting and
like trying to like perv on fucking Romy. She's like, God, Ramon, like, get out of here.
You're looking hot today. And she's like, because the AC's not working in here.
So I'm sweating like a pig. And then she like turns to the woman who's waiting in line. She goes, sorry, ma'am. He's such an asshole. The next person in line is Heather Mooney, who is probably my diva of this movie, like probably my favorite character. She's played so scrumptiously by Janine Garofalo.
She's also in Wet Hot American Summer and First Day of Camp. She's amazing in that.
She is brilliant. Everything she's in, she's so funny. And this is probably my favorite Janine character.
Heather
Mooney is such a fucking pistol. Like, first of all, she's got this bob. Like, she's got like a black bob. She's got like her like 90s businesswoman sunglasses. Yes. And she's always huffing on a cigarette. Like, no matter where she goes. And she has the worst attitude ever, and I love it. And Romy recognizes her from high school. And she goes, you're shitting me.
She's like, it's Romy.
Oh, you're shitting me. And then she goes, oh, I didn't know you lived in LA. And she goes, well, now that you know, will we be getting together a lot? Romy's laughs. She's like, Heather says that she's become very successful from inventing a quick burning paper for cigarettes. And she smokes one down in like 2 seconds.
It's so funny. And
then she mentions their 10-year high school reunion coming up. And Romy's like, are you going? And she goes,
I'd rather put this out in my ass.
Oh, I wonder why we didn't get an invitation. I'm sure Michelle would have told me if she got one.
Michelle Weinberger?
Yeah.
Do you live with Michelle Weinberger?
Yeah.
I just thought she'd be married to Sandy by now.
Sandy Frink?
Yes, Sandy Frink. He could barely contain his erection every time she was around. Why do you think he always carried that huge notebook?
The Freakazoid and Michelle, I'm sure. Besides, didn't you have a thing for Sandy in high school?
I did not have a thing. I did not have a thing. I was very much in love with him. Very much in love.
And then she turns to the woman behind her.
There's a difference.
There's a difference.
There's a difference.
The woman behind her is like, okay.
There's a difference.
Well, I guess I won't be seeing you at the reunion, but I'll tell everyone you said hi.
Why don't you tell everyone to go fuck themselves for making my teen years a living hell?
And she like storms out.
I love her.
So great. She leaves and Romy immediately gets on the phone to tell Michele, even though there's all these angry customers waiting in line. It's so good. She's like, "One moment, ma'am. Michele, you cannot believe who I just saw." And like everyone's like, "Ugh." And we get this sequence where Romy and Michele go through their yearbook and we get flashbacks to when they were in high school. Which is so cool because like it zooms into their yearbook and like the pictures in the yearbook like come to life and like we're put into these flashbacks. It's really creative how they do it. We see that Heather Mooney was always going behind the school to smoke. And then this like weird guy with a cowboy hat, she'd be like, "Hey, do you have a light?"
And he flicks the cigarette
His cigs, like his cigarette
so she has
butts.
to like use that to light it.
And she like calls him a pathetic turd.
And then like she gets mad because the bell rings. And so she's like, "Oh, why can't there be a cigarette that like
You can smoke
really quickly, like in between
your classes."
So that's where you get the origin of why she invented that.
Yeah. Okay, so then they're talking about their yearbook photo itself, and she's like, "Oh my god, do you remember what a big controversy it was for us to have our picture taken together?"
Yeah, well, Danny Weller like lodged the complaint, and because alphabetically he was supposed to be between us.
And then we said, "Okay, Danny, if you want to be between us, you can come to Michelle's house on Friday night, and we'll be waiting."
That's right. He came over, and we're like, "Danny, it was a joke."
I know. And then we turned the sprinklers on him.
Oh my god! Did he die?
I think so.
Yeah.
They're like, "No, whatever." Moving on. So good. And so they're talking about like the different cliques in high school, and they decide that the jocks and the cheerleaders were the A group, like Christy and Billy's group.
Yeah.
The drama kids were the B group.
Yeah.
And then the nerds were the C
group.
And we see a moment from the C group. They're at the science fair. We meet Sandy Frink, who's played by Alan Cumming.
I love
who
Alan
I adore.
Cumming.
And this was his first ever movie. Like, first ever, like,
What's it
big
really?
thing. Yeah, at least in America. Because
Wow.
he's Scottish. So, yeah. And he's just playing this really, like, eager little nerdy character. And he's trying to get Michelle's attention.
And doesn't Heather be like,
Make sure you get your huge notebook. Because he always has a boner.
yep, so like he does literally always carry a huge notebook around. It's really funny.
And we meet Toby, who I fucking love Toby.
Yes.
She's this like bitch with braces who is like on the yearbook and she's like just the most eager, like excitable, like sweet girl.
Let me take your photo. Oh, the yearbook.
It'll be perfect. And then Heather goes, "Oh, Toby, fuck off." She's always telling Toby to fuck off.
Poor Toby.
And Toby like her smile kind of like cracks for a second and she goes,
Okay, we gotta get the photo real quick.
and we see what group Romy and Michele were in. They were just
Loners.
They had each other and that was it. We finally see what they were like in high school. Michele had a back brace from having scoliosis. And Romy was chubby
and they
but
literally just put boxy clothes on her. I always forget that was her thing because I'm always like,
she doesn't look chubby at all.
They
I
just
think
put her
that's
in,
like kind of the
baggy clothes.
joke. Like it. You didn't have to be chubby to be
chubby.
made fun of for being chubby back in that time period. Like
Yeah.
skinny was just so a thing. And this teacher comes up to them and he goes, "Hey, Romy and Michele, don't forget you two have detention." And Michelle's like, "Oh yeah, we're really looking forward to it." And he like doesn't even know what to say. He just like walks off. And we see Romy has this huge crush on this jock guy named Billy Christensen. And it plays "I Want Candy" as he's like playing football and stuff with his shirt off. And he walks past and Romy says, "Hi, Billy." And he just flat up
he like
ignores
looks at her
her.
and like walks away.
Yeah. We see the A group, which includes Billy's girlfriend, Christy Masters, who's a bitch, and her cronies. And Christy is talking shit about Romy and Michelle's outfits. And when Lisa, who is played by Elaine Hendricks, mother, she was, I know her mainly from The Parent Trap as Meredith, the stepmom, Meredith Blake, who is such an icon in The Parent Trap. But she's been in so many things.
She's also Evian and Superstar.
Yes, Evian and Superstar. She's mad because her parents named her after a bottle of water. But yeah, Elaine Hendricks' character, Lisa, says something kind of defending their clothing. She's like, well, they made them in home ec themselves, and I actually think they're...
Quite interesting.
And they all turn around and give her a death stare. And the music's like... Doom. So she just gives into the peer pressure, and she's like, in a totally lame and embarrassing way, and has to pretend that she doesn't like Romy and Michele either. Christy pulls a prank. She goes up to Romy and Michele, and she's asking them about the school musical, but the whole time, she's sticking magnets on Michelle's back brace. Then she goes, can I have the rest of this? And she eats Romy's cheeseburger.
It's her whole burger. The rest of this.
Like,
girl, she never even started it.
What the fuck? Also, Romy was so excited about cheeseburger day. Like, in the previous scene, she was like, oh, I'm so excited for my cheeseburger. Like, what the fuck? Sandy comes by, and he tells her about the magnets. And Michelle is super embarrassed and looks like she's about to cry. But then Romy starts laughing. And she's like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm just pretending you said something really hilarious. Now, laugh with me. And so
she's like, don't let them see you cry. Like, that's what they want.
That's what they want. So they pretend to not be bothered. And they, like, laugh and walk away. Which is, like, sad, but, like, you know, sweet. It shows us already that, like, Romy and Michelle are
I'm going to look out for you.
That are going to look out for each other. Yeah, 100%. We cut back to modern day Romy and Michele, and we get an amazing line, one of my favorites. Michelle's like, God, remember the prom? You got so thin by then. Oh, I know. I was so lucky getting mono. That was like the best diet ever. So we flash back to prom, and they're both dressed up as Madonna.
Okay, and this is the inconsistency. So it's 1987, and... Romy
she's wearing Blonde Ambition.
Blonde Ambition, that would not have existed yet.
No, but here's the thing. Romy is a visionary.
That's what I was like, but I'll defend it because she's a visionary.
Yeah. Well, because, like, Michelle is very Lucky Star.
Debut Madonna.
Yeah, like, she looked like from the Lucky Star video, I think. And, yeah, Romy is wearing the Blonde Ambition ponytail, but I think it's just because she inspired Madonna.
She inspired Madonna. That's what we canonically just learned.
And everyone calls them the Madonna twins. And Romy does this thing.
They look so good.
Oh, they look great. And Romy's like whipping her ponytail around, and she hits Michelle, and Michelle's like, oh, that hurt, but it looked really good.
It looked really good.
And prom
And this is also what I love. This is another movie where it's like grown adults playing high schoolers.
Right, I know.
It's like very much how like Superstar is.
Yeah.
Like where it's like, they're literally just adults.
I love it. And prom king and queen are then announced. And I love Michelle being like, like no one gives a fuck, sarcastically, as they announce
that was me.
Billy and Christy. Of course it's Billy and Christy. Christy's so annoying as she accepts the award, and she like cries as if like no one knew that it was going to be her. And Romy gets this idea, and she says, do you think since this is the last night of school and I might never see him again, that maybe Billy would dance with me?
I bet he would. I mean, it's senior prom. Nobody's going to say no to anybody tonight.
And then Sandy Frink comes up, and he's like, hey, Michelle, since this is the last night of school and all, would you care to dance with me?
No.
It's so good. And then she like just walks away. And Heather comes up, and she's like, I'll dance with you, Sandy. And he's like, nah, it's no fun unless you really love the person. Thanks anyway. And then Toby comes up. Okay, who can name all the capitals of all the 50 states? Okay, Toby, fuck off. And then Sandy's like, Heather, can't you be a little bit more sensitive? And she's like, me? Me be more sensitive? You are a jerk off. And she walks away, and then Sandy like turns to Toby, and he's like, Albuquerque. And he starts like naming all the states. Heather goes to smoke again, and Cowboy Guy shows back up and flicks his cig at her again. And this is when she's like,
why don't you go fuck your sister or your mom
or your dog. But then I like how she still is so desperate for a cigarette that she like gets the cigarette butt and uses it to light her cig.
Yeah.
So Romy goes up to Billy and asks him to dance with her. And he's like, sure. He says he'll be right back. And so she's like shook. And then he goes up and he tells Christy, and they come up with another mean prank. And Christy comes up and she's all like, thanks a lot, Romy. Billy just broke up with me to be with you. Apparently he's always been in love with you. And she like cries and like runs away. And she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, Christy.
Honestly, I didn't even think you would dance with me.
And they turn to each other and they're like, this is the best thing ever. Romy's like so excited. And she goes, how do I look, Michele? Perfect. Romy, you look so good with blonde hair and black roots. It's like not even funny. But we see Billy and Christy ride off on the motorcycle while Romy waits. And then, this is one of my favorite parts. Time After Time by Cyndi Lauper starts playing.
Yeah.
And, well, we're getting ready to see Cyndi Lauper here in a few weeks.
It's crazy.
And I just love this song so much. I can't wait to hear it in person. It's the perfect song, and it always reminds me of this movie. And Romy is just heartbroken because at this point, most people have left the prom, and they're just kind of there alone on the dance floor. But Michele says, I'll dance with you, Romy. Aww. And it's so sweet. And they like dance together to this beautiful song, and it's such a sweet moment. So they reflect on all of that, but they decide, okay, we're going to go back to the reunion because we're super hot now. We live in LA. We have fun lives.
Yeah.
We're going to show them that, like, you know,
yeah,
we got out. And they get this questionnaire and they start filling it out. And it's like, you know, what job do you have? Who are you living with? Are you married? Like all this information. And they start to like realize, she's like, oh, Michele, now that we're filling this out, I feel like our lives don't sound as impressive on paper. And this starts the whole like Romy being really insecure, and being worried about what everyone's gonna think about her at the reunion.
Yes.
So they're like, well, what do we do? And they decide to try and spend the next 2 weeks getting boyfriends and
getting
jobs.
good new jobs like that we can brag about.
Because Michele doesn't even have jobs.
Yeah, she's like unemployed. She's like,
well, that's the other thing. I'm like, how do they afford this apartment? Because it's a really cute apartment. It's in LA, and like one of them doesn't even work, and the other one's a receptionist.
I love it.
I love it. And because it was skinny 90s, Romy also says, and I hate to say it, but we should probably lose a little weight. And Michelle's eating chips, and she's like a chip in her hand that she's about to eat, and Romy just gingerly just takes it out of Michelle's hand and puts it back in the bag. And Michelle's like, okay, well, I don't think that one chip was going to do anything. I mean, it wasn't even a whole chip. We get this montage, which starts with a scene of them at a spin class. This is one of my favorite parts, too. Because, first of all, their workout outfits are so iconic. Like, they're basically wearing, like, club outfits to work out. They work out with big, chunky heels, too.
Yes.
Like, strappy heels. And they're on the bike, and the workout instructor is like, okay, ladies, now let's jump. And she does the thing where like she starts going up and down on the bike. And so they're like doing it, and Romy's like, hey, Michele, what does this remind you of? And it looks like they're like humping basically. Yeah. And Michelle's like, oh, I know, this lady is totally sick. They're just like going up and down on the bike. It's so good. And then Michele goes to her first job interview. And she wants to work for, like, this Versace retailer.
Store on Rodeo Drive.
And she's like, let me just say that, I, like, am really familiar with the entire Versace line. Like, if you just give me a chance, I know I could, like, sell the shit out of this stuff. And, to me, fashion is just, like, everything. I mean, oh, and she, like, turns to this woman who's shopping, and she's like, by the way, that blouse looks great on you. And the lady's like, oh, thank you. And she turns back and she's like, and see, I make a great salesperson because I have like this really believable way of telling people that they look really good, even when I'm just like, you know, and she makes like the blowjob
like
hand motion.
Him off, like hand motion.
And the guy is just like really off put by her, and he's like,
and the woman like heard this whole thing. It's just,
oh, I think she heard me. And he goes, thank you so much for coming. That's okay. You're welcome. I don't think we'll be requiring any new staff. You're not taking on any what? Staff. Employees. Oh, staff. I didn't understand your big accent. We see Romy at the club, And she goes up to this man in a suit, like a nice suit. And she's like, hey, great suit. Is that an Armani?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I thought so. So, what do you do for a living?
I'm a suit salesman.
There's like a long pause and she goes, would you excuse me? I cut my foot before and my shoe is filling up with blood.
I'm using that.
She like limps away. It's so good. And then they keep trying and they just keep flopping at like getting jobs and getting boyfriends.
I do like when Michelle goes to she goes to like a department store, and she's like, my first job choice was a boutique on Rodeo, but I think this could do.
This will be fine, whatever.
This'll be fine.
So she keeps just like putting her foot in her mouth. And then Romy even tries, because they hear about like one of their friends who they're like, oh, where did she meet her new boyfriend? And then it cuts and Romy's sitting in an AA meeting and she goes,
I'm Romy and I'm
an alcoholic.
Hi, Romy.
It's so good. So at the end of the montage, the girls are just giving up and they even weigh themselves. And they haven't lost any weight. And I love this.
Did you subtract 15 pounds for your shoes?
For your shoes. Because they're wearing those big-ass, like, Bratz doll shoes. And they're depressed. And they, like, eat a bunch of junk food. And they just sit and, like, wallow in self-pity.
And they're looking through magazines.
They're looking at Vogue. And there's this spread on Vogue that's, like, all these women in, like, Mugler, like, power business suits. And Romy gets a really good idea. And she's like, wait, Michele, we should just pretend to be successful. And Michele goes, oh my God. It's like the biggest deal. And they come up with this brilliant idea to just lie. And Romy's like, okay, well, if you can get us the clothes, I'll get us the car. So we get this great scene of Romy going to Ramon, who is the pervy that she works with. And she's trying to flirt with him. And he's like, well, if I loan you my car, what do I get?
What do you want?
Oh, Romy, you know what I want.
Forget it! I'm not gonna have sex with you just to borrow your stupid car.
He's like, well, I gotta get something. And then we get so good.
Close the blinds. And we'll work something out.
And they pretend to have sex, like, loudly. And the mechanic dudes are, like, listening in from outside. She's like, oh, Ramon.
Oh, Ramon. Oh, yes.
Mi capitan. Mi amor. You are Columbus and I am America. Discover me, Ramon. Just discover me.
Explosions. The earth is moving.
And he goes, okay, say, oh, is that an earthquake? No, it's Ramon. Is that an earthquake? No, it's Ramon. Oh, Ramon. Oh, Ramon.
Man, stallion. Fill me with your giant love wand.
What? No, I'm sorry. I don't think I'm going to say that.
Well, say something nice about my penis.
Oh, Ramon, your penis is so powerful. I'm coming. Okay, thanks. Get off me now. Oh, come on. What? And she goes, oh, you wanted it to be believable. So, Romy goes to pick up Michele, and she shows up in Ramon's, like, cool red sports car convertible.
What did you have to do to get it?
Well, I gave all the guys in the service department hand jobs.
Well, while you were doing that, I taped all the nostalgic songs from high school to get us in the mood.
Michele?
Huh.
I was just kidding.
What?
You actually think I would do something like that for a car? And Michelle's got this face like, well, yeah. And Romy goes, okay, just get in.
Romy also got a flip phone.
A flip phone, bitch. Flip phone.
I got a flip phone.
A phone. So.
And it's huge.
And it's like, a dinosaur 90s, one of those. And this is great. So they go to take off in the car, and she puts on Footloose. And they start singing, and she realizes, first she's like, oh, I actually don't know the words other than Footloose. So they're like, Footloose.
The car keeps stalling out. It does it like 2 or 3 times.
So yeah, Michele keeps going, woo, every time they turn the car on, and then they start going a little bit, and then it stalls out. And they kind of look, and they're like, oh. Woo! And it goes.
And then the last time Romy like looks at Michelle like, do not say anything. And then they drive a little bit, and then they're like,
like, it's all good. And so we get the scene of them driving to Tucson. We get a great part where this little boy is in the back seat of a car,
like making faces. At Michelle.
He's like licking the window. So Michelle like starts doing it back to him, and she's like licking the window too. And then the parents in the front seat like notice that this like woman is like licking her window at them, and she goes, "Oh no, not you. Sorry, I was just trying to scare your little boy." And they're like, "What the fuck?" And then we get
the iconic businesswoman scene.
Businesswomen.
So they stop at a diner to change into their businesswoman outfits.
So they got blazer. They got little pencil skirts on. They got high heels. They got little briefcases, little updos.
They're in Armani. They look like Armanis.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember, from this point on, we are sophisticated, educated, successful career women.
Right.
Okay.
God, this underwear is totally riding up my butt crack.
Yeah, hello. We need something to go.
And this like old waitress goes, "Okay.
Do you have some sort of businesswomen special?
Come again?"
Well, we're businesswomen.
Yeah, from LA.
And you know, some places have like a lunch special.
Yeah, for business women. And the old lady's like, "We don't have anything like that." "Oh, well, just give us 2 burgers and fries and Diet Cokes, because we're totally in a hurry."
We're doing Tucson later for a business thing, you know.
"What kind of business are y'all in?" And they just like look at each other. And it's a really awkward pause. And then we cut to them back in the car. "I can't believe we never thought of what to say we did for a living." It's so fucking perfect.
Michelle is playing with a cootie catcher, and she's like, "Which one of these guys will I have sex with at the reunion?"
And Romy comes up with the amazing idea of the movie.
Yes.
She says, "Oh my God, what if we say we invented Post-its?"
She's like, "We need to say we invented something." And Michelle's like, "Okay, what?" And she's like, "Something that like everybody knows, but like nobody knows who invented it."
Who did it?
Oh, I got it.
Post-its.
Oh yeah. Those are like those little paper with the sticky majigs on the back, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good.
And know what's even funnier about this? Post-its are invented in the 60s.
Yeah, like, what the fuck?
There's so many
It's
things
so
about this.
fucking perfect, yeah.
There's so many things that are just wild about this.
And so they're like, "Oh, it's the perfect plan." But then Michelle is like, "Okay, well, what did I do, though?" Like, it kind of just sounds like you thought of making Post-its, but, like, what did I do? And so, like, Romy thinks, and she's like, "Okay, well, how about you thought of making them yellow?
You were, like, the designer.
The designer." And that kind of offends Michelle. And she's like, "Well, Michelle, you just kind of seem more believable as the designer. Like, I'm more of the inventor."
Uh-huh.
"Okay, you're clearly pissed at me." And she like pulls over. This is when they get into their fight, bitch. It's an iconic fight. It's one of probably top 10 anime betrayals of all time.
Yeah.
Because it gets pretty heated.
Now I know how you really feel about me.
Oh my God, I knew this would happen. I mean, I tried for once to be honest with you, and it just blows up in my face.
God, you want to be honest? Okay, good. Let's be honest. I let you have the ideas.
What?
Yeah, I let you have the ideas. So you won't feel so bad that I'm cuter.
You are not cuter, Michelle.
I am so cuter. It's like common knowledge, Romy. Everybody thinks so. I'm the Mary, and you're the Rhoda.
That's ridiculous. Romy gets like really mad about that. You're the Rhoda. I mean, you're the Jewish one.
Oh my God, I'm talking cuteness-wise, okay? And cuteness-wise, I'm the Mary.
That's crazy. You've absolutely no proof that you're cuter.
Oh, proof? You want proof? Okay, fine. Who lost their virginity first?
Oh, big wow, Michelle. With your cousin Barry, I wouldn't brag about it.
And they get shitty with each
Yeah,
other.
they're shitty. So they decide that when they get back to the reunion, they're going to go their separate ways.
Yeah.
They are no longer friends.
Yeah.
So they get to the reunion, And Michele and Romy enter separately. And we see from Michelle's point of view as Romy goes up to Billy and tells him that she invented Post-its to impress him. And they start flirting. Michelle goes up to the A group. We get a great line where Christy Masters goes, I'm a weather girl.
Yes, because they're like, she talked about like in class, this is probably my favorite line, because they talked about in class, like in high school, like that she wanted to be a news anchor. And so, and Michelle's like, oh, so you did it? You actually became a news anchor? And she's like, I'm not a news anchor. I'm a weather girl.
She's like, and she's with the biggest smile too. And also, this movie, I forgot to mention it up top, but it does this great thing where when characters are like really into something, the camera zooms in on their face.
Yes.
It's like perfectly goes with like the comedy writing to zoom in. And
so, Michelle, what are you up to?
Oh, okay. I invented Post-its.
You're kidding. You must have made a fortune.
Well, yeah.
No offense, Michelle, but how in the world did you think of Post-its?
Well, and she sees Romy walk by with Billy. It's like slow motion. And Romy says, and I invented them totally by myself. I mean, all Michelle did was say, what about making them yellow? Then we get a great monologue. And Michelle goes into this whole thing and she goes, actually, I invented a special kind of glue.
Oh, really? Well then, I'm sure you wouldn't mind giving us a detailed account of exactly how you concocted this miracle glue, would you?
No.
No. She goes, no.
Well, ordinarily, when you make glue, first you need to thermoset your resin. And then, after it cools, you mix in a epoxide, which is basically just a fancy schmancy name for any simple oxygenated adhesive, right? But then I thought maybe, just maybe, you could raise the viscosity by adding a complex glucose derivative during the emulsification process. And as it turns out, I was right.
Huh? I don't believe this. You must be the most successful person in our graduating class.
Uh-huh. And you're not. Bye.
And okay, so what's also funny, because Keaton and I got so curious about Post-its and like the people who invented it. So it was two guys, but the one guy did invent the glue, and the other guy was literally like the designer. Was the one who was like,
he made them yellow.
Made them yellow and put how the glue was going to be on them.
That's great.
So
out of left field, you're like, how the fuck does this bitch know the formula for glue? It's the first hint that like, oh wait, something's weird. It's when the movie kind of starts to melt a little bit.
Yes. Well, also the way the high school reunion is it so fancy?
Kind of like over
and
the
everyone's
top.
Matching.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's so aesthetically pleasing though.
Yeah,
it's so nice.
It reminds me of like,
but it's not like a country club. It's like it's like a ballroom.
Everyone's in like pastels, and it's just things are off. Like you can just tell. Like, but outside, Romy is in the car. She's about to kiss Billy, and Michelle comes up to her, and Romy like shoos her away. Like, this is my moment, kind of thing. And so Michelle like starts walking out. She gets hit by a limo.
This part's so funny.
And she rolls on the top of it.
Ow.
Just like nonchalant. Like, so unbelievable if you were to get like hit by a limo. Like, she literally like just like
she flew in
cascades
the air too.
off of it. And we see that the limo is owned by Sandy Frank. But he has a new face. So it's Alan coming in like
my first
prosthetics. He's like, it's me, Michelle. Sandy.
Sandy Frank?
Uh-huh.
But you're so dreamy.
Well, when I made my first million, my present to myself was a new face.
Okay, I'm not just saying this, but you really picked a good one.
So,
and it's literally still Alan Cumming. It's just wearing prosthetics.
It looks weird.
It's so weird.
And he has like these weird blue contacts in too.
He like can't move his face because it's so funny.
It's so fucking funny.
He's like,
yeah, he kind of looks like handsome Squidward.
Literally.
We see Christy drunkenly go out to try and flirt with Billy. She's just making a whole fool of herself, and he ignores her, and he decides to be with Romy. And Michelle and Sandy are making out in the limo.
And Toby flies over the sunroof. He's
Toby.
Like, hey, guys!
It's time for the voting to be announced.
No, we're about to give away the award. Come on. And
she
then
like flies away.
away.
Sandy's like, come on, Michelle. And he like
Flies out of the limo.
like, literally flies.
And Michelle's like, wait, what award?
And then she goes, oh, I can't find my top. Because she's like in her bra. Anyway. And she like flies out the windshield too.
So where'd you guys go?
And she like comes on in. And Romy and Michele win most successful.
Yeah, most changed for the better since high school.
And so Michelle goes up in her bra to accept the award. And there's like a pause. And everyone's like waiting for her speech. And she goes, sorry, I couldn't find my top. They all like, the crowd like goes wild. Yeah. But then Romy and Michele go their separate ways.
And both of their cars, like Sandy's limo and Michelle's car, are in the building now.
Like inside.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're inside. And they
it
drive
like
away.
drives off and like Romy and Michele like look out the window at each other like it's sad.
Yeah,
like, oh no.
oh my God, they're parting ways.
Yeah. And then we cut to 70
years later.
Old ass Michelle, which is Lisa Kudrow in like old prosthetic, and it looks really great.
There's such a good line. Sandy's like, have you been miserable with me all these years? No, I've just been lonely with no one to talk to.
He's like, oh yeah, makes sense. And she decides to call Romy because she misses Romy. And Billy Jr. answers. This guy who plays Billy, and he's in like a little bit kind of aged makeup.
Yeah.
And she's like, Billy, honey, tell your mommy that Michelle Weinberger Frank is on the phone and would very much like to speak with her. And Romy, we see her, she's on her deathbed, like attached to a respirator that's like beeping. And Romy goes, no, not until you admit that I'm the Mary and you're the Rhoda. And Michelle like kind of squints and she goes, I'm the Mary.
And Romy starts to give her the finger, but her her like heart monitor is going beep, 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 beep. Like
she's totally dying, and she's like just flipping her off. And Michelle's like, "You're not the Mary. You're a hag on her deathbed. I'm
and she
the
hangs
Mary."
up, and Sandy's like, "Good job, honey. You showed her."
It's so fucking good, and we of course see that this has all been a dream. And it was all a dream.
Third movie in a row where some sequence in the movie was all a dream.
Yep. It's a common occurrence here. She wakes up. It was Michelle's dream. She's in the car outside the reunion, and it seems that Romy has
just ditched her.
Inside with
Went
her.
inside. And that's just like at their high school. Like actually at the high school. It's not at this fancy ballroom.
It's a much more realistic.
People are wearing different outfits. You're seeing a bunch of different...
You're like, oh, yeah, that was a dream.
Yeah.
Totally a dream. And Romy...
Because the first time you watch that, some people don't realize what the fuck's going on.
No, like, you're like, okay. Well, because the whole movie's absurd.
Yeah, so you're like, oh, I guess they could just do this shit now.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
not gonna watch that. And then you're like, wait a minute, this is a dream.
When they're, like, flying around, that's when I'm like, I know it's a dream.
So Romy goes in and bumps into Lisa.
Elaine Hendricks' character, yeah. But she is in a power lesbian suit. She's got a power lesbian haircut.
She's got that red lip.
And we learn that she is an associate fashion editor for Vogue.
And Romy is like fucking hella impressed because she loves Vogue.
Yeah.
She's like, I must own every issue of Vogue.
And then she's like, but guess what? I invented Post-its. And, like, Lisa, like, definitely doesn't believe her.
Yeah,
but she's just like,
okay.
And she doesn't say anything.
She does not say... she knows it's not true.
But Romy can't tell that she knows that it wasn't true. So Romy keeps going with it. She's like, okay, perfect. It worked, kind of thing. Then we see Christy Masters, that bitch with her corones. They're all pregnant at the same time. And they see Romy, and she goes, you're the chubby girl. And she says, wow, like, you've had kids. Like, God, you must feel really tied down with all those kids. Not at all. I feel very fulfilled. And then we learn that Christy married Billy.
And it's been almost 10
his
years.
name is Billy Christensen. So her name would be Christy Christensen. Which is kind of great, right? Yeah. Kind of a good name.
Christy Christensen.
And when Romy tells them that she invented Post-its, they all laugh at her. But she commits to the lie. And we get my favorite line in the entire movie. I quote it constantly. Yep. It did a little something to my brain chemistry. She holds up her flip phone and she goes, "Hey, if anybody needs to make a call, I've got a phone.
Hey, if anybody needs to make a call, I've got a phone."
And then Miss Heather Mooney shows up. And she's trying to go in, and Toby's like, "Excuse me, you need a name tag. Fuck off."
Heather Mooney, you haven't changed one bit. And Heather is talking to Romy in front of the A group, and she unknowingly exposes Romy for not actually inventing Post-its.
Yeah.
Like, Heather knows exactly who invented Post-its. She's like, "No, you didn't. Like, what are you trying to do?"
She's like, "Well, then who did?"
Art Fry, a guy we learned about it in business school. Christy is eating this shit up, and she has found a new weakness to exploit.
And you can tell Heather realized what she did and kind of feels bad.
Yeah.
But she's also like, I don't really know what to do, so she just leaves.
They start bullying Romy, and it's like high school all over again.
And
Romy starts to cry.
But Michele sees this all going on, and so she comes in.
And she starts to stand up for Romy. And she goes, "And why are you picking on us? We are not the ones who got fat."
"We're pregnant, you half-wit."
"Oh, yeah? Well, I hope your babies look like monkeys." And Romy and Michele go into this room by themselves while Romy sulks, and Michele tells her about the dream she had and how sad it was that she felt like she lost her best friend. So they apologize. They decide to make up and be friends again. Besides, only a couple people heard the lie anyway, right? Yeah. So it's not that big of a deal. But when they get back out, Christy pulls a bitch-ass move.
Oh, she's such a mean girl.
She's so rude. She gets up on the mic.
And she's supposed to be the one that's, like, welcoming everybody.
Yes.
And she's going through, like, some of the class achievements. There's somebody who's in the NFL. Somebody who...
Lisa is the editor of Vogue, whatever. She gets to Romy and she goes, "And Romy and Michele claim
to have invented
Post-its." And she like calls them out. She encourages everyone to laugh at them and bully them. And so Romy storms out again. She's crying and Michele comforts her. And we get probably my favorite like monologue and like what I think is the heart of this movie is this speech from Michele. And she goes, "No, Romy, can I tell you the truth? I never knew that we weren't that great in high school. I mean, we've always had so much fun together. I thought high school was a blast. And until you told me that our lives weren't good enough, I thought everything since high school was a blast too. You know, I think we should just go back out there as ourselves and just have fun like we always do. I mean, the hell with everyone else." And Romy's like, "I don't think I can." "Well, do you think you can stop being such a baby? God, I feel like I've been like chasing you all over this reunion. Now we have come all this way. We are going to enjoy ourselves whether you like it or not."
God, Michele, I've never seen this side of your personality before. You're so bossy and domineering. I like it.
Me too. So they put on their iconic flashy dresses.
From the cover of the movie.
Yeah, the cover of the movie.
The poster.
And they strut back into the reunion and it plays, "I'm your Venus. I'm your fire, your desire." Yeah. And they confront Christy. And she goes, "What the hell's your problem, Christy? Why are you always such a nasty bitch? Do you get some kind of sick pleasure from torturing other people? I mean, yeah, okay, so Michele and I did make up some lame story. We only did it because we wanted you to treat us like human beings. But you know what I realized? I don't care if you like us, because we don't like you." And it zooms in on her and she says, "You're a bad person with an ugly heart, and we don't give a flying fuck what you think." Everyone goes, it's like a whole moment. And she's like, "Come on, Michele."
Okay. And yeah.
That's all Michele had to have. It reminds me of On the Simple Life when Nicole like roasts the shit out of this guy who's being a dick to them. And then Paris just goes, yeah. What she said. Yeah. Christy's like, "Oh, it's unbelievable. They're as deluded about their lives as they are about those hideous clothes they wear."
And then Lisa,
the Vogue
editor, she comes, "Actually, Christy, they've got nice lines, a fun, frisky use of color. All in all, I'd say they're really not bad." Which
and it's like, ooh.
That's such a huge compliment.
Well, we still think they're ridiculous, don't we, girls?
Why don't you let them think for themselves for once?
You're just jealous, because unlike a certain ball-busting, dried-up career woman I might mention, we're all happily married.
That's right, Christy. Keep telling yourself that. And Christy, crack of the century.
Yeah,
Face crack.
she finally has nothing to say back.
Because she
so
knows
cunty.
it's true.
So, and then it's great because Romy and Michele actually start getting a bunch of compliments on their clothes that they designed. And it kind of hints like, oh, maybe, we should start our own clothing line kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Heather approaches them before they go to leave.
Hi, I'm sorry that I blew your big lie for you.
Hey, that's okay. It was better this way anyway.
It's ironic, isn't it? I really thought you guys had it made in high school.
Us?
Yeah, you. With your long hair and your long legs, walking and flipping your hair. I can't compete with that. You made Sandy crazy, and the whole time you were making my life hell. The A group was making your life hell. I don't know.
You know what? I bet in high school everybody was making someone's life hell.
Not me. Never had the opportunity to make anybody's life hell.
You know what? I bet that's not true. I mean, you were like really unpleasant.
You think?
Oh, yeah. And then Toby walks up. Heather, since you never got around to it in high school, I was wondering if you could sign my yearbook. And please don't tell me to fuck off because it really hurts my feelings.
I hurt your feelings?
Yeah, like all the time.
Tremendous! That's tremendous! Go get your stupid yearbook. I would be happy to sign it.
Heather Mooney. And Romy's like, Michele, I think maybe we should leave. I mean, there is no way this reunion's going to get any better.
Hey, everybody! Sandy Frank just landed in a helicopter!
Sandy Frank has a helicopter? Yeah, apparently he's worth millions. He invented some kind of special rubber or something.
Like for condoms?
And so we see Sandy show up in his chopper. Oh, Alan Cumming looks so rich and so hot in this scene. I've always thought he was a cutie.
He is a cutie.
And Heather sees him. Mind you, she's had a crush on Sandy her whole life. And she goes,
That's Sandy Frank?
The hell was I thinking? And she just turns and like leaves the reunion. It's great. Christy goes up to Sandy because now that he's rich, she wants to get a piece. And she goes, Sandy, hi. You look so rich. I mean, great. Which is great because Michele had always said that Christy was so transparent. She can't even hide the fact that she's like a gold digger in this moment. But of course, he ignores her and he goes right up to Michele.
After all these years, you still take my breath away.
Thanks. So, you must be like the most successful person in our entire graduating class.
Well, I guess that depends on how you define success. If to you success means having a house in Aspen or in Acapulco, a penthouse in New York, a mansion in Malibu, a 60-foot yacht, an 8-seat
And the whole time
Windstar,
it's zooming
Bell Jet
in on
Ranger,
Michele
a
while he's saying this, and
personal
she
trainer,
looks wet.
a full-time chef, a live-in masseuse, and a staff of 24, then yeah, I guess I am successful. But no matter how much I accumulate, there's still one thing I just don't have.
And she goes, your own country?
Your own country?
I don't have you, Michele. Will you dance with me?
Only if Romy can dance with us.
Sure.
Which I like, he doesn't even question it. It's great. You know how you guys adopted me as your platonic third? You and Keaton? Romy is Michele and Sandy's platonic third. And they do this amazing interpretive dance to Time After Time by Cyndi Lauper.
It's so good.
It's like this interpretive, kind of lyrical. There's all these weird like poses.
Yes.
There's lifts and like
it's so funny.
Doing arm movements. There's even a moment where Romy, like out of nowhere, just busts into this like really impressive like turn sequence.
Yes.
Like, she's like a ballerina. And everyone cheers them on, and it's like just bizarre but so funny and also like very touching. You know, like these are three like outcasts who come back to their high school reunion completely themselves, and they're making the most of it.
Yeah.
And they're just living, and I love it. And we see Heather out smoking, and Cowboy Guy comes up to her, and you think he's going to be a dick again, but he actually apologizes for having always been rude to her. And he's like hot now.
Yeah. And so they kind of start a thing.
They start a thing. She's like, okay, hell yeah. And while waiting for Sandy to get the chopper, they see Billy.
He comes out of the bushes. He was throwing up. He's drunk. He looks gross. His
He's
shirt's
gross
like
now.
unbuttoned.
Yeah.
They did a good job because he looks so cute in all the other scenes that he's in. They did a really good job of making him look like just a like nasty slob.
Yeah.
Like just so unappealing. And he like comes up to Romy and Michele and he's like, didn't you two have like a huge crush on me in high school? Michelle's like, oh, she did, not me.
Yeah. And so he says, want to get a room, like wanting to cheat on Christy with Romy.
Yeah.
Since apparently their life is just miserable together.
Yeah, and he's like, she's like, you have kids. And he's like, I don't even know if the current one's mine. The one she's pregnant with is mine.
Yikes, yeah.
We learned he's not even, because Christy had lied and said he's a successful, like, realtor or, like, real estate developer. And he's like, no, I work for her dad's business. I pour concrete. Like, he's just a loser.
Big loser. And so he asks to hook up with Romy, and she says, sure. Go find us a room upstairs and take off all your clothes. I'll be up in 5 minutes. And he's like, great. And he leaves. And then she goes, now he'll see what it feels like to wait.
Getting him back after all these years.
Gets her revenge. It's great. So they leave with Sandy in a helicopter, and ooh, heaven is a place on earth.
And they see Heather making out with
Cowboy. Yeah.
And Heather,
they're like, get it, Heather.
and Christy, her dress gets blown up. She's looking for Billy, and you see her big granny panties.
We cut to 6 months later. We learn that Sandy has helped them fund their own clothing store.
Romy and Michelle's.
Which is super successful so far. And they tell customers to have a Romy and Michele day.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, yeah. And even Heather Mooney is buying a dress.
And it's cute. She looks really cute. It has like lemons on it. She's like, I look like an asshole.
She's smoking in the thing. And Romy goes, Heather, has anyone ever told you that smoking can kill you?
No one. Thank you.
Okay, but if you burn it, you bought it.
Like I give a shit. I look like an asshole.
What? No, you look totally cute.
Yeah.
She goes, this dress exacerbates the genetic betrayal that is my legacy. And she just storms away.
Despite that surly demeanor, I think we've just given her a big gift. Okay, I mean, to give someone like Heather Mooney the chance to express herself through fashion, we could have really changed her life.
Yeah. But for me, though, it's like I've given birth to my own baby girl, you know? Only she's like a big giant girl who smokes and says shit a lot, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's fold scarves.
Okay.
So they start folding scarves.
You know what, Michelle?
Huh.
I think you are like the funnest person I know.
Me too. With you. And they're
We
like,
got the beat, we got the beat, we got the beat. Yeah, we got it. It's such a good movie.
the end.
We had the Romy and Michelle's high school reunion.
They're best friends forever. Woo!
It's the best movie. We should have gotten more.
Well, they've always been trying to make a sequel happen for this movie, so who knows? I mean, they're both great, amazing actresses, and I would love to see them back for a sequel, but also, I kind of like this as a standalone, too. Like, if it never gets a sequel, I won't be mad. If it gets one, I'll be intrigued, you know?
Yes.
But yeah, that's my favorite movie. I fucking love it.
It's a great one. It's a classic.
So good. Definitely go watch it if you've never seen it. You won't be
regret
disappointed.
it. It's it's a classic.
It's sweet. It's funny, but it also, reminds you of the power of friendship, and that's what's fucking important.
Yep.
So next week, to round out No Scream November, as I kind of transition into holiday season, into December, we're going to be doing another one of my all-time favorite movies. Definitely, like, my favorite movie when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I fucking love this movie. It's Batman Returns.
It's such a good one.
It's the best Batman movie, in my opinion, which not a lot of people will agree. Most, like, Batman fans do not like Batman Returns. But I just think that Michelle Pfeiffer is so cunty as Catwoman. Like, it rewired my brain chemistry when I saw it as a kid. And I cannot wait to talk about that performance.
I'm with you. It's the best. I think it's the best Batman movie.
Catwoman. I love it.
And it's definitely the best Catwoman.
Oh, hands down. And you know how I feel about Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yes.
That's my mother.
Yeah. Mother. It'll be our second Michelle Pfeiffer movie.
It will be. I know. I love her.
If y'all have not listened to Mother.
Oh, yeah. She was in Mother. Yeah.
Mother. She played Eve.
Eve in Mother. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, guys. So that has been it for this episode of No Scream November. We hope you had a fun time with us in Tucson at the high school reunion. Please remember to follow the pod, like the pod, and leave a glowing review of the pod. It really helps with the algorithm. We are at Let's Scream Pod on all socials, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
And you can follow me at StevieNash95 on Instagram.
And you can follow me at Parker_Will_C on Instagram. And until next time, this has been
Let's Scream.
Bye.